y'all, it's Betsy, and I'm sorry I didn't get to post a video on Friday. There has been a lot of stuff that happened in my area, and if you don't follow me on my main channel, you may not know everything that happened. So I figured I would tell everyone over here what happened. But because I need to get ready to shoot other videos, I'm really not going to talk about the makeup. I'm just going to talk about everything that has been going on. Now on Wednesday, roughly between 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I slept through it. One of our local plants where we live at Nederland, I guess I should start by saying, is a area where there are a lot of refineries. We are pretty much surrounded. And in Port Neches, which is really not even a mile from me, there was an explosion at the TPC plant. I'm not exactly sure what they refine over there, but the explosion happened in one of their benzene towers, I think is how it's said. Now, thank God there were no one lost their life. There were only 3 injuries of plant employees, but it was kind of crazy. There were a few other explosions throughout the day. I think there were 3 or 4. And with that, we ended up in a mandatory evacuation. If you live within 4 miles of the plant, you had to leave, which we live 3.4 miles away, which doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but it kind of is, because if you look at the news, they were very, very scared that they were going to end up having another major explosion, and plus whatever chemicals were in the air, which they said the air quality was fine, but who knows. So we had to evacuate. Black Friday at the store was canceled. We are going to reschedule that for this coming up Saturday. But this year has probably been the worst year of my life. Now, there are a lot of things that could be much, 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 much worse. I don't want it to seem like my life is absolutely terrible, but between Imelda and the chemical plant explosion and all of my health issues, I'm just ready for 2019 to be over. I'm just done. I don't want anything else to happen. You know, Thanksgiving was not ruined, but it was a trying day, I guess is the best way to put it, because we went to my sister-in-law's house because they were going to come here for Thanksgiving, and they did. They drove in on Wednesday morning, and then we evacuated Wednesday afternoon, and we all went to her house. So there were a lot of us there. We had me, my husband, Jeremy, our 3 kids, our 3 dogs, our 3 cats, and then my mother and father-in-law, their dog, and then my sister-in-law, Jamie, her husband, Mike, and their 2 dogs. So there were 10 people, 6 dogs, and 3 cats in one house with 2 bathrooms. We were ready to get home. We were worried about everything that was going to happen. It was just kind of crazy. And I'm just ready for maybe a little bit of time where there's some calmness. I don't know. It's just been that kind of year, you know. Not everything can go the way that you want it to, which is kind of how everything has been happening. But I'm ready for normalcy. You know, living where we live on the coast. We live in Southeast Texas. So we're used to having to evacuate for hurricanes. Our community is very, very great about banding together and rebuilding and pushing through whatever can happen. We've had to do it several times between Imelda and Harvey, all the different hurricanes that we've had. But this was scary because it could have been so much worse. Thank God, again, there was no loss of life, but buildings that were a mile away had their doors blown open, windows were busted, foundations on houses were cracked and destroyed. So I mean, it was not, even though it was a quick evacuation and being able to come back, it was not something that is ever expected and planned for. You know, living in an area like this, we know that things can happen. I mean, that's just part of it. But on the same hand, it's not something that you're really prepared for. And it could have been so much worse. I mean, we have plants that are less than half a mile from us. So if it would have been one of those, that's all I keep thinking about is what if. And that's probably not the best way to sit here and look at the situation, is what if. I should just be thankful for it not being worse. But I will tell you, it was scary, you know, not knowing if one of the spherical tanks would blow and we would lose absolutely everything. That was the scariest part, you know, being away from everything. My animals were freaking out. My kids were freaking out. Heck, I was freaking out. I'm not gonna lie. And with everything that has kind of gone on this year, it's like, okay, what else can happen? And I don't really want to be like that, because again, I'm very, very thankful that it wasn't worse, but it's that not knowing, and now at this point, you know, being 36 years old and something like this happening, it's like, oh wow, that can happen and it could be so much worse. It could have been so bad. Which has me freaked out. I think that's the part that has me really freaked out the most, is what if it would have been worse? What if, you know, it happened during the school day? Because the chemical plant that blew up was less than half a mile away from Port Neches Groves High School and Port Neches Middle School, which is not where my kids go to school. But you know, the kids from Port Neches are still out of school because there's a lot of recovery in that area. A lot of homes were damaged. Not many people were injured. But, I mean, it really shows how quickly things can get really, really bad. And you don't even think about it, you know, because it's, you know, it's just a part of everyday life. Our economy down here is ran off of plants. And, you know, I'm lucky in the fact of my husband does not work for a chemical plant and I don't work for a chemical plant. To me, they're extremely scary. But, you know, a lot of people I know, their spouses do work for the plants. And I can't imagine how they feel at this moment, because how bad it could have been. And I guess sitting here thinking about how bad it could have been is not the best way to look at it. But maybe it's just because I'm a little bit on the pessimistic side after everything. But it is absolutely, it's scary to think that this could happen again. Especially whenever you start to look at and hear on the news that this plant had several violations from the, the EPA and the Environmental Protection Agency. They'd been fined by them, they'd been fined by OSHA. So it's quite scary, because you know, if they had all those issues, why weren't they shut down until it could have been fixed? Because maybe this tragedy could have been prevented. But on the same hand, it could have been so much worse. I don't know. 2019 has definitely made an impact where I am doing a lot of soul searching to kind of figure out what has been important and where I want to be at for the next year. We have talked about for a long time moving up closer to my sister-in-law. They live in Montgomery, Texas, which is about 2.5 hours away from us. And especially like with my nephew Aubrey, he's, you know, 3. I don't want to miss his life growing up. So we've talked about it, and it's like, well, now is the time to start putting that plan in motion. The plan was never to move while Caden and Nadia were in high school. So Caden graduates this year. And I don't want to close down my store or anything like that. I would probably just open up a second location. I have great employees around here that would keep it running, who don't want to leave the area. But it's, I don't know. You see how I mean, maybe you can tell from just how I'm talking. It's still so fresh in my mind of everything that's happened, where what is the right move for us? I mean, whenever I was a kid growing up down here, because I spent a lot of my childhood in Texas, we had to evacuate for hurricanes, but it didn't seem like they were as often. But now it seems like every time I turn around, there's another thing that we have to evacuate for, or there's another flood. I mean, since my kids have been born, we've evacuated. We've had Rita, which was another devastating hurricane. We had, what else? Humberto, that one was just a category 1, but it still did a lot of property damage. Then we had Harvey, which was absolutely devastating for our area. Then Imelda, and now this. It's like, how often do you want to kind of start over and try to rebuild? I guess is the thing that keeps going through my mind is, you know, do we want to keep risking the situation just to stay here? Because this is home. And that's the question of what do you do? And I'm going to pose that question to y'all is, what do you do in this type of situation? How do you go back to normal? Which, you know, a hurricane, we can go back to normal from. This just has put the fear of God in me, where it's not now a question of if anymore, it's when. And what will happen when it happens again. Because that's just how I'm looking at things. And I know that's probably not the best way to look at everything. I don't know. I just want normal. I want to have normalcy again, is the best way for me to put it. And things like this, if you've ever been through a natural disaster or a fire or anything like that, it's just feels like, how do you go back to normal? How do you get back to that place of feeling like things are okay? And I mean, I'm not depressed or anything like that. It's just given me a lot of self-reflection, I guess is the best way to put it, where I don't know what is the right move. And I mean, as of right now, I'm not making and rushing to any decisions because it is still so new and fresh in everybody's mind. But it's scary. I don't know of another way to put it other than it is absolutely terrifying to know that you could go to bed at night and then not wake up, or wake up and people that you love could be gone, which isn't anything unusual. You know, these aren't things that I'm the only person who has to deal with. But it being man-made, I guess, is what's freaking me out the most. Because it's like, I have no control over it. Again, with hurricanes and things like that, we have advanced warning. We can evacuate. We can get out of here. For something like this, for the most part, there isn't an advanced warning. There's no way to say, oh, well, this is going to happen at this time, so you need to leave. That's not how it works. So again, it's just, it is really, really kind of messing with me, more so than I think anything else that I have really dealt with has. You know, I know that if I'm having issues and I'm sick, I can go to the doctor and get help and kind of fix it. With something like this, there isn't an option, you know. The chemical plants aren't going to go anywhere. And Texas has 47 chemical plants. California has 18, and I think Louisiana has 17. So, I mean, this is not something that's only in the area I live in. This is something that is all over. I don't know. As I said, I'm kind of just rambling because at this point, it's still, everything is still very, very fresh. There hasn't been a chance to really get over everything that's happened. It's still there. You know, I'm seeing on Facebook friends that are having issues and are dealing with that versus, you know, what it could have actually been, how bad it could have actually been. But how bad it, even though how bad it could have been, it was still bad. I know several people who have had a lot of serious damage to their homes, and the company has taken full responsibility and are paying for things. But it's scary. And what it does to our local economy. I mean, heck, Black Friday is one of the biggest shopping days of the year for us, and we were closed. You know, we did well online, but still, we lost out on local business, which we're rescheduling our Black Friday in store to this coming up Saturday. And hopefully people will turn up. But I mean, then you have to worry about, well, did everybody buy everything at chain stores or other stores because our businesses were closed down? You know, those are very real fears and things that we're thinking about, that not everybody has to worry about being a business owner, you know, at least not all the time like it seems like we have to. I mean, because in my mind, we've had Cuttin corners now. It'll be 3 years in June. And we've only evacuated once, but we've had very devastating things happened to our area where it did hurt business for a little while, you know. And, you know, as a business owner, as a small business owner, worrying about making sure people still have a job whenever you're not bringing in the money that you're used to, those are real fears. And I just kind of wanted to let people know what happened and how I'm feeling. And, you know, again, I know this is not, it's not the end of the world. It's not the most devastating thing that could have happened, but it's still, it's scary. And I have very valid fears now because of the area I have chose to live my life in. And again, it's like, well, what do? You know, Caden will graduate this year, so I have one more to put through school. Do I want to move him, considering he has went his entire life to Nederland? He's got all of his friends. You know, it's not like we'd be moving for work or anything like that. It'd be moving because we want to move, because with me doing YouTube, not really full-time because I still go up to the shop and work and stuff like that, but it is my main job at this point for our business. I can work from anywhere. You know, I can work from home, from anywhere. And my husband, being in IT and has done it for so long, he can work anywhere. You know, it's not his job is not something that's tied to our area. You know, like people who work at the plants, their jobs are tied to this area, are tied to areas that have plants. It's not like you can just go and work somewhere else. You kind of have to be where the jobs are. And working out at the plants, you do make good money. You know, for our area, we have an extremely strong economy because of the chemical plants. But then again, you know, is the money worth the risk? I don't know. I'm just kind of at a weird place right now, is the best way to describe it. I am trying to talk and put on lipstick, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. But yeah. So I guess the kind of question, or what I'm kind of posing to y'all, is what do you do in this situation? Have you had something like this happen? How do you, I guess, learn to deal with it, I guess is the best way to put it. How do you get over it and continue on? Because that's what I'm having issues with, is, you know, what is enough, I guess. I don't know. As I said, I'm kind of all over the place right now because I'm in a weird place of knowing how bad things could have been. Knowing people that work out of the plants, and knowing that if one of those tanks would have blown, the spherical tanks, it could have leveled all of Port Neches. And that is scary. And they're connected by pipelines. So like all these plants are connected, and they did get valves shut off, so it didn't go further than what it could have, but it could have been so bad. And what is enough? How much is enough? I don't know. But that's kind of what's been going on. We should be back on regular schedule, Monday, Wednesday, Friday videos. Thank y'all for all the support and checking us out. I couldn't do this without you. And I just wanted to kind of give you an honest, this is the place that I'm at right now, because I don't know how else to deal with it. And, you know, my husband is great about things, but you know, we see things through different eyes because of where we are, and there are a lot of you who are in different areas. Maybe you can see things a little bit differently. But yeah, I guess that's it. I did try out a new eyeshadow palette, the Going Coconuts. If you're looking for a very neutral brown eyeshadow palette, this thing is great. I mean, this is a very quick and easy makeup look. The ColourPop, the monochromatic palettes are only $12, and they do run them on sale. Like right now, I think they have a 30% off for Cyber Monday, so that's absolutely amazing. You can't beat that. But I guess that's it. Don't forget to check me out on all my social media: Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, and I will see y'all on Wednesday. Bye.